Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda and LD from Glenda's Dragon's Den. And we are live on the Conscious Awakening Network on Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And of course, other streaming platforms like Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. So thank you for joining us every week. Thank you for all the emails, all the comments. Thank you for participating also in the chat room. Um, Tonight, we have a wonderful couple who are paranormal investigators. They also were founders of the Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts Group. And just so many other things. I'm just going to let them speak today. Tracy and Susan Todd, how are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good, perfect. Now, you guys are in Florida. How's the weather down there?
Oh, perfecto. Perfecto.
Yes.
We're enjoying a chilly 78 degrees today.
Great.
Yeah, almost had to put a jacket on this morning.
So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You always do this.
You just go ahead.
So I'm Tracy.
Only an
This
Irish
is
show,
Susan.
folks.
Well, a little bit about myself. I was in the military. While I was in the military, I had my first paranormal experience while in the military. Back in the 80s. I know. It's a long time ago. Back in the 80s, I was up on the Tonopah Test Range, Nevada, where the 117 Stealth Fighter was top secret at the time. And I was in security police in the Air Force. And we had Central Security Control was sitting in the middle of the base, and we had cameras to all the hangars, all the buildings. And to gain access to the buildings, you had to call us, authenticate. We unlocked the doors. You went in, did whatever you needed to do. And then when you left, you called us. We locked up. We authenticated again, and you went your merry way. So we're sitting there, and these two guys wanted to get access to an empty hangar. And we gave them access. They authenticated. We let them in, and we're watching them walk into the hangar. And they go about halfway in, and they start pointing at something up at the wall. So we pan the camera up, and there's this black mass that is kind of going up the wall. And it's literally freaking these guys out. They're grabbing each other, and they leave without authenticating to shut the door or anything. So I grabbed another guy, and let's go see what that's all about. So we grabbed our guns, and off we went, and we got to the hangar, and we went in and looked around, didn't see nothing, didn't hear anything, looking all up, all around, and then out of the blue, a big aircraft mechanics tool chest came pushing out to the middle of the hangar. Now, this is all caught on security camera, all caught on tape, and it was at that point, kind of freaked me out a little bit, but it was at that point that I started getting interested in something having that kind of ability that I
Mhm.
couldn't see.
Hmm.
So there's a couple more instances, and I started going to the library and getting books and got started reading stuff from Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Mhm.
And I should have checked it, but because I knew I was going to talk about it and I didn't. Back in the early 1900s, there was a group over in England that I guess they were the first official paranormal group, and I don't know the name of them, but they had did some writings and some stuff. I was reading some of their stuff, and
It seemed to
off and on through
recall.
my,
Is that the group Arthur Conan Doyle was in? The guy that
you
wrote
know,
Sherlock
I
Holmes?
to be honest with you, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure.
I think he was
Um,
in a paranormal group in England at that time. One of the first ones.
you may have, okay, but
That's okay. Everybody else
so
can Google it.
yeah. So through my military career, I went everywhere in the world. There wasn't a continent that I didn't have my put my foot down in. And when I got a chance, I would do some investigating. Found some, pretty cool stuff. But got out of the military, started doing my job now, and kind of got away from it a little bit. And then the shows started popping up on TV, and I said, "Well, they can do it, I can do it. I don't see why not." So recorder and piece of paper, and off I went. I joined a local team in town, and they were kind of not going in the direction that I thought they should go in. It got to the point to where every time I got home from an investigation, I was just bitching to Susan about it, and she says, "Well, just start your own damn team." So we did, and so that's a little bit about me and how I got into it, and then she'll tell you how she got into it. Well, she had no choice; she was with me.
So you were in your
Yeah,
late 20s, early 30s, Tracy?
How old was I? Yeah, I think. Hold on. What did I have for breakfast? I don't know. Um, Holy crap. So 85. Yeah, early 20s.
Early 20s.
Early 20s.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, early 20s. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm
So,
sorry, Susan.
that's okay. I think that I've always been interested in the metaphysical side of it. My grandmother was an avid tarot card reader. My father, my father was big into the metaphysical, and he introduced me to the books of Edgar Casey, and I've read almost every one of them. And uh, when Tracy started doing the paranormal, I was like, nah, I don't believe in this stuff. But the more we got into it, the more I said, wait a minute, there's something else to this. You don't need all the little bells and whistles and the little gadgets that go with ghost hunting, and started to investigate, long story short, intuitively.
mhm,
And the more I investigated that way, the more things started like just coming to fruition for me, and finding myself
Fruition. That was a
story.
big word. Uh,
Um,
I went to school in Florida, so big words are hard for me.
Well, it rhymes with intuition.
but I mean, it kind of, I think it runs in my family, especially on my grandmother's side. My granddaughter, it kind of skips a generation. My granddaughter um, is, if she would just apply herself more, she would be very intuitive. And she's watching tonight. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
How old is
But
Sarah?
oh my, four?
24, 25.
Well, heck, Sarah, you can. Glenda does mediumship development on Thursdays, so you're welcome to join the Zoom call.
She's been on a few investigations with us. She's pretty good. But so I I'm a little more on the metaphysical side of things. I love the paranormal. I love investigating, and I love teaching people. We do a lot of events where we allow the public to attend our paranormal investigations. We charge them a fee, but we give every dime back to the venue. Um, and I I like to show them that it's all not something running out of the closet and grabbing you or dragging you down to the basement. It's we're talking about people that have families and loved ones, and it's all about respect, and it's not about what you see on TV every day.
Mhm.
There's a whole different side to investigating.
So very true.
Yeah, we are very opposed to instigation.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
So, Susan, of
yes.
the investigations you've done, because I know you've done quite a few and you've gotten out of your comfort zone a few times, what was your most interesting?
Oh my gosh, I think my most interesting was at a bed and breakfast in Apalachicola called the Mark's House.
Coon's house. The bed and breakfast is called the Coon's house.
Okay, but
Coon's house Inn, but we were in the Mark's
we were
house
in the
of the
Mark's
Coons.
house, and um, we were upstairs in the attic, um, and we were told by the people that ran the bed and breakfast that the workers were afraid to go in the attic, and they were doing a lot of work upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
and that they would hear things drop and get scared, and they just wouldn't go up there and do any work. So we were up there investigating, and it was something. It, it was a catwalk in the attic, and that was the only place that you could walk down the hall and around the corner. And something flew across the room and hit the floor. And of course, I jumped out of my skin, and I have a foul mouth when I'm frightened. And we turned on all the lights, and we found a transformer in the floor. And we, prior to investigating, we had gone and filmed every square inch of the attic. So we turned off the lights and we went back up, and Tracy goes, okay, well, if that was you, show me that that was you. Do something to let us know that you're here. And there was this loud bang like this, and the floor shook. And of course, it scared the bejesus out of us. And so we got up, we turned on the lights, and in the middle of our tripod, Tracy was sitting way up on a ladder. I was sitting a few feet back from the tripod, and then Dee was behind me, and then there was another investigator at the time way down at the end. And we looked, and there was a coffee cup sitting right side up between the tripod legs.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah, and once we after after it happened the second time, well, they were all wanting to leave after the first time. And when she talks about transformer, it was a little 24-volt transformer like you'd have for a doorbell or something like that.
Right.
Um, and I said, no, let's stay and we'll see what happens. And it happened again. And after it happened, we turned all the lights back on, and everybody said, "Okay, let's go." I was wanting to stay. However, I got the whole notion as well. If this thing is tossing things, I'm not so worried about it tossing them, just accidentally hitting one of us.
Right.
So I said, well, enough's enough. So after we got back home and I reviewed the footage of where we had all the lights on,
Mm-hmm.
that same coffee cup, once you walk down the catway toward the end of the attic, there was a fireplace chimney there. And behind, you had to turn right and then turn right again to go behind the chimney. And that's where they hid the water heaters.
Right.
And on top of that water heater was this coffee cup.
Wow.
So I had to come up, go around the corner, and then boom. And it wasn't like it hit and rolled. It was just
Right
boom.
side up. Wow.
Right side up, nothing broke, nothing cracked, just
I did pee my pants though.
So that's your version of the transform in the coffee cup would kind of translate to shock and awe. Sorry.
yeah. Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Thank you. I'm here all week. Try the chicken. So Todd, is that your favorite, or do you have one that you found interesting as well?
I really don't have a favorite. Um, I'm,
Ship compass.
well, I mean, there are, because every time we do this, if something, it doesn't matter if we've been to the place 20 times, it's going to be my favorite place. Um, so they're all kind of my favorites, but the ones that stand out the most would be the Russ House in Mariana and the Navy Dive Museum out here on our beach.
Oh,
Okay.
Um, the Navy Dive Museum was established back in the late 80s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and they have part of Sea Lab. You guys remember Sea Lab?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Okay, so they have part of the Sea Lab sitting out there, and the museum is based behind Sea Lab and Navy divers.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the guys, Wilbur Eaton, established the museum. He was one of the original divers of Sea Lab. We have a local Navy base, so they were able to get all this kind of gear and whatnot. So the curator at the time, do we call him or he called us?
We called him.
And he said, "Sure. Oh, I'm glad you guys called because this." So we go in there and we didn't know anything about Wilbur Eaton or hardly anything about it. We did have a historian that was on our team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he would find stuff out and he would keep it to himself and only reveal it when we did did the review.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going through this and we're doing our thing and meters are starting to go off. We're starting to hear voices. Um, so I get up. I'm infamous for walking around. So I'm walking around and I go by this huge ship compass that they have sitting in there. They took it off. It wasn't a Navy boat that they took it off of. It was just a regular big cargo boat they took it off of. But it's huge.
Mm.
It's like 5 foot tall,
Wow.
probably 20-inch round. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at it and I see it start to move just a little bit.
Mm.
So I said, okay. So I stepped away from it, still moving a little bit. So I stepped enough away where I could see it where nothing I had on could cause it to move.
Right.
So I stepped back up to it. It stopped moving. So I had asked, I said, can you make this compass go clockwise? and it started moving.
Hmm.
So I said, no way. I kind of got a little chills, So I called Susan and Dee over there, and they were looking. And we have video of this on our YouTube page.
Or
YouTube page. It may be on both. And so we're sitting there, asking him to move it. And I mean, he's making this thing go all the way around almost. We tell him to stop, and he would stop it.
Hmm.
He'd keep it going. So when stuff like that happens, we're like, oh, goodness. So we go on and on and on, and we get done with that night's investigation. And I called the guy. I'm not, because I don't remember his name, Mike, but I called him the hippie because he was pretty much a hippie. So the hippie, we told him what we found and whatnot. He goes, well, y'all come back anytime. So
But
we started to.
funny thing he said was it's almost impossible to get those ship's compasses to move. It has to actually be on a ship that's turning
Right.
because it's
Right.
huge, huge.
So I'm sorry.
That was impressive.
So we went back. It wasn't too long after that, maybe a month later, we went back, and I took the Echo Box with us and started playing it and asking questions. And I'm walking around the museum, and I said, if you're part of this museum, and if there's an image or something of yours in this museum, when I walk by it, make one of the devices go off. So I'm walking, and I walk by this picture, and the devices go off. So they said, "Oh, I hear it." Okay, so I stopped, looking around to see this picture. I said, "Is your name Wilbur Eaton?" And all the devices went off.
Wonderful.
So okay, well
Getting chills here.
yeah. I said, so let's go down this road. So we started up the Echo Box, and just as plain as day, he was saying his name. I mean, you could just as plain as day. I am Wilbur Eaton.
Hmm.
And
I
that's
think
on,
we have those.
yeah, those videos are up there too.
So, what is your
So
YouTube channel? Just so people can go there if they feel so.
uh, they can find Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts on YouTube,
Okay.
and we have another one, ECPC, on YouTube. Most of our videos are on the Emerald Coast one,
On our
Okay.
Okay,
website.
maybe we can get that
or,
up
or
on the screen.
yeah, and our website, just Emerald Coast ParanormalConcepts.com.
Okay.
There we go.
Uh, Perfect. So we're like freaking out, we're enjoying the hell out of this, and so Kenny, he was the historian at the time. He says, "Ask about the dolphin."
Hmm.
I'm like, "What dolphin?" They had a dolphin that they trained to being tools from topside down to sea level.
Wow.
I said, I said, okay. So we started talking about the dolphin. The dolphin this, the dolphin that. What was the dolphin's name? And he comes right across the upper box. He said, Tuffy. The name is Tuffy. So Kenny falls out, and he says, that's the name of the dolphin.
Hmm.
So Mr. Wilbur Eaton, I mean, he's a movie star there at that. I mean, I can understand why he stays behind. And when I got out of the military, I went straight into the hospitality business as maintenance.
Right.
So I'm working at a Holiday Inn, and there's these two Navy guys come in to discuss with our sales department about having a Navy ball there at the hotel. So I was asked to show these two Navy guys one of our rooms. I said, sure, I'll go. You know. So we go up to the room, and we're talking Navy stuff, and I said, you guys been out to the dive museum? And he goes, yeah. We used to know Wilbur. And I haven't said anything. And he goes, yeah, poor Wilbur died. He died in the '90s. Poor guy, and this, that, and the other. So funny thing about Wilbur, it's like he had Tourette's because he would just start cussing out of the blue, and I'm thinking, I didn't say a word, but one of the Echo Box sessions we had with Wilbur, he was just going to town. F this, you, and this, and just out of the blue.
Hmm.
I'm like, hmm, what? What am I missing?
Nothing.
Okay.
It was more than one session. It was almost everyone that he came over the Echo Box was just,
Yeah, I mean,
oh, what a
he had a
mouse.
foul mouth. I mean, he definitely tell he was in the Navy,
Cuss like a sailor.
and you could, and I know using the Echo Box or any kind of other audio device like the Echo Box, the Spirit Box, whatever, sounds come through there, voices come through there, probably not like they were when they were alive,
Mm-hmm.
just because of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, that voice that came through that Echo Box, you could tell that he was a Navy diver. Had that old raspy voice from smoking 20 packs of cigarettes a day and breathing all that oxygen and stuff in every day. You could just tell it in his voice.
Hmm.
That's probably my most memorable one. But I have to say, my overall most favorite place to go every time would be the Rush House in Mariana.
Hmm.
We love going there. We love doing public events there. There's nothing there that's
Harmful.
bad or anything like that.
Negative.
It's
No
all
negative
peaceful.
energy.
But I can get a group up there. I would say that we could get a group of the ones that don't believe um, skeptics.
Mm-hmm.
I could get a group of skeptics up there, and I guarantee you, when they leave, they will be thinking twice about being a skeptic. Not because nothing jumps out at them or anything like that. It's the voices they will actually hear. It's the walking right beside them sitting in their chair they will hear. You know, I'm sorry, I'm
Right.
rambling.
You guys do a lot of fundraisers too, don't you?
We
Yeah,
do.
and the as you well, I mean, up north where you guys are at, it's the paranormal. The whole paranormal thing's a lot bigger than it is down south.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this
We're in
dadgum
the
Bible
Bible
Belt,
Belt.
and you know, people think we do nothing but dance naked with our witches hat on every night.
You guys don't?
No, we do
Oh,
wear
you're missing a
clothes.
lot. Come on up north. We'll show you how it's done.
But it's amazing. We live in Panama City, well, Lynn Haven, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and there's very few places in Panama City that you will actually be able to go visit as an investigator. They will tell you they have stories out the wazoo,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't want any part of it coming to their business for you coming to check. But we drive 40 miles from here up in Mariana, and everybody's about it, you know.
Yeah.
But the Russ House, I don't know what I was going to say about the Russ House.
You like going there the most.
Yeah, I do like going there the most.
There you go. Now, you said Winter Haven?
No,
Lynn Haven.
Lynn Haven.
Lynn Haven. Okay.
Yeah, it's part of Bay County, which is part of Panama City, Florida.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
Or Lower Alabama.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's wonderful that you're able to do as much as you can because even here, we get quite a few people that on they have their conceptions about what we do, and we only work in the light. So, but when I say we only work in the light, because we work in the light, we get called in when people stir stuff up and decide it's over their pay grade. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we call it remediation and resolution because we know it's there. She knows it's there before we even get there. But
Right.
we're there to try and broker peaceful coexistence.
Yeah. And we are, unless it's a die-hard emergency, we pretty much don't do houses anymore.
We step back.
We actually did step back from it because just about everyone we were doing every call that came in,
Mhm.
you know, and it was just a horrible experience on both sides. Um, what they were expecting and what we were expecting was always two different things, no matter what they told you on the phone. It got to the point to where I could tell either what Ghost Hunter show they just watched or what Ghost Adventure show they just watched, just by them telling me what's going on in their house. It got that bad. And when you show up on their doorstep, well, where's your film crew?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how come you don't have this? How come you don't have that? And then they get mad when we don't find anything. You try to explain to them, well, listen, it may take more than one time coming to your house. Well, no, you can't do that. So we pretty much doing away with that. Unless it's really, really an emergency, then we'll go take a peek.
Well,
But
I mean, the nice thing is Glenda basically knows what's there before we even agree to show up. So
right,
we get our share of people that call for all sorts of reasons, and we pretty much are able to explain to them that that's not in our uh, bag of tricks.
right,
But
right,
you know, and with the commercial venues, they have a branding to be concerned with. So if they call you in, they have their own concerns that they want addressed, right? Pretty much.
right.
So
Yeah,
it's much more professional.
Mm.
Um,
yeah,
but Glenda being a ordained minister basically will go in if a house needs a cleansing, and she'll know that it does, and she'll basically do a little sweeping and cleaning and smudging and
A little more than
yeah.
that.
That's
A
what
little more than that.
Susan and Dee do when we used to do the houses.
Right.
Regardless of if we found anything or not, they cleansed it after the investigation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're going back to the events. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's down here in Florida, down here for us anyway. Places aren't beating down our door for us to come investigate. And we know how it is by doing this for as long as we have now, our general area, that calling these places isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, we found our little niche, I guess, in Mariana. And for us anyway, we're finding it more beneficial. See, beneficial is the wrong word.
fulfilling.
Yeah, for us, to where we can do events at these places
Mm-hmm.
and raise money for the facilities. Um, like for the Russ House, it's been how much? How much money?
Oh, over 15,000 we've raised for Russ House.
I mean,
That's
it's not a
some.
lot of money, but it's more money than you know.
You'd have had without you.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
We have
exactly.
a contract with the county that we're the only paranormal investigators. If another group wants to go to the Russ House, we have to be there because the past dictates the future. a team had gone in there many years ago and went through the drawers, and because there's actual offices downstairs,
Right.
they went through the drawers, left the place a mess, left hamburger bags and stuff in the garbage without taking it out, stumped the. So anyway, we have an agreement with Jackson County. We also do the Florida State Caverns.
Mm.
We're the only group that's ever been in there to investigate. So we do a fundraiser for them. I
Elmy
think
Bridge.
we raised $900 in 4 weeks for them.
That's pretty
Then
good.
we also do the Bellamy Bridge Heritage Trail, which intersects with the original Trail of Tears.
Right.
There's an old bridge up there that is one of the original steel bridges, or the first steel bridge that was built in Florida. The framework of the bridge is there, but the floor is completely gone. So we've been very blessed with Jackson County and
Yeah,
having a good relationship with them.
and I would be happy. I mean, I'd be thrilled to death if that's all we did.
Mm.
I'd be thrilled with it. You know, I think from us, what I've seen, while I was in the military and what I've seen since we've been doing this, I mean, I've seen enough. I mean, I don't have to see any more. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think I don't know how this is going to sound, but I think that some of the teams, especially ones that are just starting out, if their main focus was more on that, giving something back instead of trying to be the next Zach Baggy Pants, you know,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
I know. Yes, we know.
I th- I think that not only our field, but I think we'll be able to get into more places. Our field would go further
Hmm.
because, this is just my opinion. I think the field as a whole is kind of stagnant. We're all trying new things, but we're all getting the same results as we did before we tried the new things.
Hmm.
So, I mean, what do you do? Where do you go from here? I mean, is it going to be the next ITC device, or is it just going to be what is it going to be? You know? But we've been trying. Have y'all heard about the collective consciousness?
Hmm.
Okay, so Mr. George Lopez, not the comedian, but
Uh,
No, no, no. The other George Lopez is a pretty funny guy too.
yeah, he is. So George has taught me a lot,
hmm.
and one thing that he taught us taught Susan mainly was this collective consciousness. Now, the first time he did it in a crowd, I was with him. Um, a group of people were at the Seven Sisters Inn in Ocala,
Right. I remember that.
and oh, okay, all right. Were you guys there?
No, no, but I remember it unfolding because I was
Right.
following it.
Okay,
I was following the event.
yeah. So George is doing his thing, and George's voice. I mean, he used to be a DJ. Well, it's a DJ at a strip joint, but still, he had that
Tracy,
DJ. What?
DJ.
DJ. DJ. Well, that's where he did it, and he had
Well, the
that
strip
DJ
joint,
voice.
sometimes it's a
Yeah.
DJoy, but don't get me started.
So he was talking. He was doing his thing about doing his talk about letting stuff go. You could tell these people were like almost being hypnotized, but they weren't. They were all concentrating on George's voice, listening to George. And the one thing that got me is I was videotaping it, so I was watching. And George said, imagine the wind blowing in a circle. And I kid you not, everybody sitting around that circle started leaning this way.
Mhm.
I'm like, holy cow. So Susan has been doing that when we have a group,
Mhm.
and wait, I want, what?
No, go ahead.
What?
I've been doing the collective consciousness with groups for the past 4 years,
Okay.
and um, it's always downstairs in the parlor of the rest house. And I ask that nobody speak with each other or discuss anything until the end. Everybody gets a notepad and a pencil, and they're supposed to write down their thoughts, their smells, if they see anything, if they feel anything that's not normal,
Mhm.
write it all down, and then we would go upstairs when we were finished, and we would go over our notes.
Mhm.
And I'm not kidding you, every person wrote the same thing down, what they saw, it wasn't the same people smelled the same thing, but it was this person and this person, or this person or that person had an image,
Right.
but they were all the same. And this has been going on for almost 4 years that I've been doing it. Everybody sees the same little boy,
Mhm.
can describe him. They smell the same thing, which is lavender,
Mhm.
or they smell alcohol, or can feel a male presence. And if you sit on the sofa in the parlor, a lot of empaths or mediums that have come feel like their chest hurts really bad and they can't breathe.
Mhm.
Well, come to find out that one of the I believe it was Mr. Russ's second wife had lung cancer. She had
Something was wrong with her
lung
lungs.
cancer, and that's how
Mm.
she passed.
Wow.
It's just like it's so amazing.
And that's the part of this that she does. Her and I investigate totally differently.
Mhm.
She's more about this.
It's,
I'm more analytical,
Right.
going about it, you know. But it's something about this Russ house. I don't know what it is, but it's something about this Russ house. When we have groups up there, we'll let them mingle, grab our gear, and let them roam around the house, do their thing first.
Right.
Then we all get them back together, and Susan takes them downstairs, and she does this collective consciousness with them. The
Mhm.
difference with the ones that come back up is night and day than when they went down.
Right.
Mhm.
And that's really amazing to me.
And do you have any events scheduled for the Russ House coming up this year?
Well, Susan just got done with back surgery, and I just had open heart surgery, so we're kind of still
recovering.
recovering from those things.
Right.
Mhm.
But as soon as we're 100%, both physically and mentally, we'll start putting events up again.
Okay.
Okay, and that'll be on the Facebook page.
Yeah, absolutely,
Great.
absolutely.
Now, I seem to remember uh, not too far from the Seven Sisters Inn, there was an abandoned conclave of buildings. Do you know what
Yes,
I'm
that
talking about?
was yeah. Trying to remember the town. Yes, there. Yeah, it's a town that just everybody just abandoned it. Just packed their stuff one night and everybody left, and the town pretty much stayed the same for years, but nobody was there.
And is that
So
still
yeah,
standing?
it is. But the last I talked to George about it was that there was a disagreement with the father and son because the father and son own it,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and they don't let investigators go there anymore.
Okay. But were you guys
But there's
there?
some. I'm sorry.
Were you guys ever there?
Yeah, I went with. Well, I went. I went with Zaphis and Brian Cano and George and Andrea. We all made a trip up there, and it's a wild place, man. Wild, wild place. That's one place where you would need somebody, an inexperienced team, probably not a good place to go.
Right.
Right.
And when I say experience, I mean somebody like you guys,
Hmm.
somebody like Mr. Lopez there with you, somebody like Zaphis there with you, somebody like Cano there with you. Because you heard voices, you heard sounds, you heard bags being dragged across the floor.
Right.
That wasn't the scary part. The scary part is how there was a post office and another little two-story building. When you went in, everybody's demeanor that went in changed.
Hmm.
You couldn't stay in there a long time,
Hmm.
and the ones that would ended up arguing with each other, and it just wasn't nice.
All right, hell, we don't have to go in a building for that, honey. Uh, yeah, I don't know if you followed the world's largest ghost hunt a couple of years ago. Glenda was one of 5 people on the metaphysical committee that year, and Ground Zero was the house Andrea grew up in,
Yeah,
but she
Yeah.
was
yeah.
patient. And that's also a very active.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I believe John Zaffis was able to speak with his aunt and uncle there.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she had that house pretty well open and for business. And
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. So
Interesting.
we haven't gone anywhere yet, by the grace of God, that we weren't able to.
Negotiate.
Yeah,
Negotiate.
and I say
Right.
we, I'm talking about the wee one. Yeah, yeah. She does. They take one look at me. They go, "Oh, you got a face for radio. Get the heck out." But
Right.
no, she's able to pretty much speak with them and reason with them and reassure them that we're not there to abuse and disrespect and any of that. And she knows what she's talking to. So,
Right.
obviously, a Native American guardian entity is going to want something different than a banshee is going to want something different than a retired Navy diver is going to want. Everybody's got
Right.
their own reality.
Well, it's funny that you bring up that Native American Sentry Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've been so 2 years in a row now. We've been investigating the Florida caverns,
Mm-hmm.
and I so believe that there is one of those in those caves.
There's one at the Bellamy Bridge as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know about the Bellamy Bridge. I didn't know about the Florida caverns. Do you have shots in the Florida caverns?
Who?
You have photographs from the Florida caverns?
Yeah, absolutely. We have video. If
Nice.
yeah,
Because
and it's some really interesting stuff happens because we've been trying to get into the caverns for years. And I know we're getting short on time, but we've been trying to get in there for years and years
Mm-hmm.
and years because it was such a hassle. We had to get not only permission from the county, but they had to get permission from the state.
Right.
So it's very, very hard to do this. But luckily enough, we just had the right person there at the right time
Right.
Mm-hmm.
who got it approved for us, and they presented it in such a way that we would be able to make them money. So it was easy for them to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But also that guarantees an area is going to stay more pristine as well. So, you know,
Correct.
there's two
Yeah.
sides to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'd rather go there than some of the burned down resorts that we have here in Pennsylvania that everybody's trespassed on. And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
created with. And,
Well, so hearing all these stories of the caverns over these years,
Mm-hmm.
Del Cox, who's Florida's native historian,
Mm-hmm.
wrote millions of books, and I mean, he knows the history of Florida like the back of his hand. So Del is our go-to guy
Mm-hmm.
when we have questions about stuff. He's also into the paranormal, which helps.
Nice.
And none of the stuff that we found in the cavern, Del says there's no reports of it.
right,
Mm.
Nowhere. Um, but we do know, in fact, that up there near the caverns, it was a stopping point for the Creek Indians or Cherokee or Seminole, maybe, was a stopping point, and they would,
Hunting parties.
yeah. So we do know that.
Mm.
Um, but some of the stuff that goes on in there is just doesn't make sense. Why a
right,
female would be down in those caverns?
right.
Why a poker player would be down in those caverns?
Well,
It could have been taken there.
could have been taken there. It could have been any number of reasons. But if you have some things and you're interested in getting Glenda's opinion on them, not so much stuff that other people are talking on, but feel free to reach out to her and she may be able to give you some insight. I
Sure,
do
absolutely.
admire the Seminole Nation because, as I recall, they're the only nation that never signed a treaty.
Right.
When you go on
Yep.
Seminole reservation land, you are no longer in the United States of America. So,
Right.
that's pretty
Yeah.
impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of respect. I actually spent quite a bit of time on the Cattaraugus Reservation, upstate New York, living there. So, I'm very fortunate that the Native American Guardians generally treat me with a fair amount of appreciation because of the work I've done. But
Oh,
you know,
good.
it sounds like a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
sounds like you guys had great experiences. And the fact that there's nothing written about some of your experiences just means that somebody did not want to report that.
Or that they didn't want to reveal themselves to anyone else.
Right. So,
That could be.
yeah.
I have to get you to watch the videos, Glenda, and you can give me some opinions on what we believe happened and what you believe happened. We'll have to
Sure.
get together on that.
Definitely. Definitely.
And when we talk about paranormal unity, that's the type of unity that I can forward is, people working together to find the actual truth of what's presented itself, not everybody trying to do the same thing, and because people will never
Right.
agree on that. Everybody's got their own idea, and all we can do is when we work with a group or when we have an event, and I say we, it's basically this one. Yeah, I'm just the 600-pound gorilla, but we make sure that everyone understands going in that we're not going to instigate, we're not going to be disrespectful, we're not going to command anything. It's all like someone comes into your house at 2 a.m. uninvited.
Right.
They better have a damn good reason.
Right.
And our reason basically is to tell their story.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
but
y'all are just gonna have to take a vacation wintertime and be like the rest of the snowbirds from up there. It comes down and stays in Florida for 3 months.
well, you know, if we know somebody who had a connection with the hotels down there, no,
Oh yeah, I listen in the wintertime
yeah,
months. I I can get your room for dimes on the dollar.
there
So
you
There
go.
you go.
But you know, we certainly love to get together with you guys, and even perhaps work with you guys on a fundraiser. Uh,
sure, that'd be great.
we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Um, is there anything
Speaking
that
for.
Susan would like? Anything you guys want to cover or wrap up? That anything come to mind while
Just
Tracy was
keep
talking?
watching our page. We'll get back in the swing of things here pretty soon. As soon as I'm able
Mhm.
to sit in the car for any length of time, we'll get back into doing our events and fundraisers, and looking forward to doing some new places and new things, and of course always learning new things and
Mhm.
networking with good people such as yourself that are in it for the right reasons and right intentions, and um, yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of Reiki?
She's a Reiki master.
Okay, so you're Sui Reiki.
Yes.
Okay, Glenda's a level 22 in a Sui, and she does 9 other modalities. At 6 o'clock on Mondays, she does a Zoom call all over the world. We have people come into the Zoom call, not necessarily in quantity, but we do have it, and she does distance Reiki. So please, and
I
that.
I stumbled on her video last week. She'll have to tell you about it. I was
Yes.
like, oh my God.
Well, please avail yourself of that, because it
Yeah.
may help both of you get back a little sooner, and we'd like nothing more.
Mhm.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks. Appreciate it.
And that's not something that people have to subscribe to. That's something she does just
Just to do
out
it.
of her ministry, basically. And so we're not
Okay.
looking to get any money out of you guys. It's just, if we can help you heal and help move everything forward for the work that you do and the help that you provide to these places,
Mhm.
we'd certainly appreciate you joining us, and bring your friends. And
Yes. Spread the news.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing it
Sure.
for
well,
everybody
it's
and
a Zoom
anybody.
call, so
It's actually streaming.
oh, streaming now. Excuse me.
Streaming.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
there's 100 spots open, but now that it's streaming, there's more than
Streaming.
that. Yeah.
Yes, it's streaming everywhere. So.
But speaking of streaming, we do have three, three documentaries that we had done for us.
Hmm,
Um, two on the Russ House, one on the bridge, and fixing to be one on the museum.
nice.
I
And
think there you can find them on Amazon. I think that channel on TV, Voodoo or whatever that is. I
Hulu.
think they're on there.
Hulu?
Yeah. No, not Hulu. It's
Voodoo. Yeah,
VUDU.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. There is a yeah.
okay.
Yes. Okay, that sounds great. We'll have to take a look at those. So,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you both for being here, and
Well, thank you for having us.
ha-
Well,
We had
thank
a
you for
good
being
time.
had.
Well, that I'm usually had.
we're definitely having a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it is almost time to go. I do want to tell everyone that was here that We appreciate your watching, your feedback, your emails, your messages. And we also wanted to let you know that next week we have Steve Noble, who is an author of 6 nonfiction books. And he basically is a huge entrepreneur and a huge soul matrix healing for star seeds guru. So,
And he's very compelling. So
yes.
I think you'll enjoy that show.
All right. Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Can you
Stay
guys
well.
stick on for a second after we sign off, please?
Sure.
Stay well and have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.